In early 2013, guests at a hotel in Los Angeles began complaining. The water pressure was low. The water tasted strange. The water was dark. Maintenance checked the rooftop water tanks. Inside one of them, they found a body. It was Elisa Lam, 21 years old, a student from Vancouver, Canada. She had been in the water for 19 days. The hatch on the water tank could only be opened and closed from the outside. She was found inside, alone. The coroner ruled it accidental drowning. Nobody has ever explained how she got in. This is case number 3, the muted file. Elisa Lam was 21 years old, a student at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada. She was traveling alone through California in January 2013, a solo trip, a West Coast adventure. She was intelligent. She kept a blog. She wrote about books, films, her life. People who knew her described her as kind, creative, and thoughtful. She had a history of bipolar disorder, something her family were open about, and something investigators would later use to explain what happened to her. On January 26, 2013, Elisa checked into the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. The Cecil Hotel has a history of its own. It was built in 1927. Over the decades, it became known for something darker than its original luxury. Serial killers stayed there. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, lived in a room on the 14th floor during his killing spree in the 1980s. Jack Unterweger, an Austrian serial killer, stayed there while murdering women in Los Angeles in 1991. The hotel sits at the edge of Skid Row, one of the most impoverished urban areas in America. Elisa Lam checked in on the 26th of January. She was last seen alive on the 31st. 5 days, in a hotel with a history darker than most people knew. When Elisa failed to check out and her family couldn't reach her, the hotel contacted police. A missing persons report was filed on February 1st. Investigators reviewed the hotel's security footage, and on one camera, the elevator camera, they found something that has never been fully explained. The footage shows Elisa Lam entering the elevator on an upper floor. She presses multiple buttons, all of them. The elevator doesn't move. She looks into the hallway, steps out, looks left, looks right, steps back in. The elevator still doesn't move. She steps out again and begins moving her hands, not erratically, deliberately, as if she is talking to someone, as if she is responding to something. But the hallway behind her is completely empty. She steps back into the elevator, out again. Her movements are unusual, not frightened exactly, but not normal either. She disappears around the corner of the hallway. The elevator doors, which have been open for the entire footage, finally close, and the elevator moves. The footage was released by the LAPD months after her death. It immediately went viral. But here is something most people don't know. The timestamp on the footage was missing. A section had been removed before release. When the LAPD were asked why, they said it was edited to protect the privacy of other guests. She was already dead. Whose privacy were they protecting? On February 19th, 19 days after Elisa was last seen, guests began complaining about the water. It was dark, it had low pressure, it tasted wrong. A maintenance worker climbed to the roof and checked the 4 water tanks that supplied the hotel. In the 3rd tank, he found her. Elisa Lam's body was floating face up. She was unclothed. Her clothing was found floating nearby inside the tank. Now, Here is where the official verdict becomes impossible to accept. The water tank was on the roof of the hotel. To reach it, you had to access a door that required a key card, climb a fire escape, and then physically climb a ladder to reach the hatch on top of the tank. The hatch. That hatch opened from the outside. It had a metal cover and a latch mechanism. When investigators arrived, the hatch was closed and latched from the outside. She was inside. If Elisa Lam had climbed into the tank herself, she could not have closed and latched the hatch from inside. It was physically impossible. If she had fallen in accidentally, the hatch would have been open when discovered. It was not. The coroner's report listed the cause of death as accidental drowning. It listed bipolar disorder as a significant condition. It did not explain the hatch. Nobody has. The LAPD investigated. The coroner investigated. A forensic pathologist reviewed the evidence. The toxicology report found her medications in her system, but at lower than expected levels. Lower than they would be if she had been taking them regularly in the days before her death. This is significant. One of the effects of suddenly stopping certain bipolar medications is a manic episode. Impaired judgment, confusion, behavior that to an outsider might look like someone who is not fully in reality. Some investigators pointed to this. The elevator footage, they said, shows someone in a dissociative or manic state. Someone who climbed to the roof in a confused episode, who somehow entered the tank, who drowned. The problem, beyond the hatch, is the tank itself. It was 4 feet deep and roughly 8 feet across. The opening at the top was not large. Elisa Lam was small, but the physical act of climbing in a dissociative state, and then falling or lowering herself into the water, all without the hatch closing itself behind her, has never been demonstrated as possible. The LAPD closed the case. The coroner closed the case. The Cecil Hotel, now rebranded as Hotel Cecil, attempted to move on. Elisa Lam's family never accepted the verdict. Before we get to the theories, there is one detail about this case that almost nobody covers. At the time of Elisa Lam's disappearance, the Skid Row area around the Cecil Hotel was experiencing an outbreak of tuberculosis, a significant public health event. Authorities were testing for it. The test they used to detect tuberculosis bacteria, it is called LAM-ELISA. LAM, lipoarabinomannan, ELISA, enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay. Elisa Lam, LAM-ELISA, her name, used in the tuberculosis test, at the same time, in the same location. This is real. It is documented. It is a coincidence. But it is the kind of coincidence that, once you know it, you cannot unknow. Some researchers have pointed to it as evidence of something larger. Most investigators dismiss it entirely. What you do with it is up to you. 3 theories have dominated this case since 2013. Theory 1, accidental drowning during a manic episode. The official position: Elisa stopped taking her medication, entered a manic or dissociative state, climbed to the roof, entered the tank somehow, and drowned. Her unusual behavior in the elevator supports this. The hatch, investigators say, may not have been fully latched, may have closed on its own. Theory 2, foul play. Someone else was involved. The edited elevator footage, the impossible hatch, the fact that hotel staff had roof access. Some researchers believe Elisa Lam encountered someone that night, and the rest was concealed. By whom and why, nobody has established. Theory 3, something else entirely. A smaller group of researchers point to the elevator footage and argue that Elisa's behavior is not consistent with a manic episode, but with someone who was genuinely frightened of something she could see that the camera could not. Someone or something in that hallway. The LAPD closed the case as accidental. The hatch remains unexplained. The LAM-ELISA coincidence remains documented. And Elisa Lam, 21 years old, a student from Vancouver who came to California alone to explore, remains in a water tank in a coroner's report marked accidental. The hatch was closed from the outside. She was inside, alone. That is not a theory. That is not a conspiracy. That is a physical fact that the official verdict never explained. This file remains open. I'm the muted file. New case every Thursday. What do you think happened to Elisa Lam? Leave your answer below. Someone always knows something. Subscribe and stay curious.